single time you do the smack, it sounds like you're smacking a table.
I am smacking a table. Artem, we are here to feed. We are here to feed the streets. Audience
I'm so
is
glad I
eardrums.
can't hear that air horn.
But you can't hear that air horn?
I told you I couldn't hear it.
I thought you said you could hear it.
No.
Oh, come on, you can't hear the air horn. By the way, guys, if you can't hear the air horn, I hope you can hear the air horn. But just imagine a very loud air horn starting off, and you've ruined my intro, man. I thought you were saying it as a meme that I can't hear the air horn. See, now I'm sad. But we are here. We have lots to discuss this week. We have another episode of the Whatever This Is podcast. If you have a new name for us, by the way, let us know. If you think we could get a better name, if you love our identity already, let us know. If there's any changes you'd like to make to the podcast, let us know. Keep your comments coming in. The support on the last episode was great. Everything was top class. Artem, this week, it's been a quiet week, hasn't it? Not really that much to discuss. What do you think?
Are you mad?
It's sarcasm, Artem.
Okay, sorry, I didn't get that.
Come on, man. How are you?
Yes, Hanu, it's been so quiet.
How are you, though?
I'm great. You?
Good. I'm good as well. I'm excited because we have lots to discuss today. We have rants to get to. We have an appreciation segment to get to. Whole podcast is probably going to be an appreciation segment for the one, the only. We're going to get to him in a minute. But before we get to that, before we get to the meat and bone and all of that, I don't even eat meat or bone. I'm vegetarian, but still. RPL, now international break is on. Nobody really cares. Artem, I know you don't care. So
Nations League.
No, let's discuss the RPL happened. The first 4 games dead. Friday was Sochi, was a very Sochi Ufa game. Saturday was also pretty dead, as you can see. But Sunday was the best day of football in my life, I think, so far. Artem, we had to start off. We had this is not. It's not only for on pitch reasons as well. There was so many little plot lines and stuff going on. So much. Okay, first of all, Khimki shocked Rubin Kazan 2-0. Mirzov and Gushakov scored up the Spartak. CSKA beat Rostov 2-0. Adolfo Gaich got a start, Artem, and he got an assist. Adolfo Gaich. Okay. Then you had Dynamo 5-1 Lokomotiv, which was the most insane game ever. Roman Evgeniev, 21 years old, given the captain's armband, gets a goal and an assist. President Clinton gets a goal. Daniil Lisoboy, Fomin Rausch, 5 goals for Dynamo. 2 red cards, one for Rajkovic. The Rajkovic we all know and love is back. Okay, Guilherme gets a red card. J. Luis with his first goal for Lokomotiv, and of course, Parvishliuk getting another red card. Adam, tell us what you thought of that Sunday. We're not even going to discuss any because we're going to talk about Dynamo Lokomotiv a bit. But what did you think of this entire weekend? And is it the craziest weekend of football you've ever seen?
I mean, I don't know if it's the craziest weekend I've ever seen, but it's definitely one of the most entertaining football-wise. Khimki really showed that they are the AC Milan of Russia.
Yes.
Like both Mirzov and Glushakov, both meme-worthy players,
Yes.
scoring. Then obviously CSKA just got the job done. Dynamo against Lokomotiv is an absolutely insane scoreline. I didn't watch it live because it was on at the same time as Zenit, but I watched the highlights and oh my god, that team just looks really good, doesn't it?
It does. It looks insane. And I posted this on my Twitter as well. It was like, them score lines or sort of like summaries you see on the football score apps. So like all the yellow cards and stuff. That for this game was insane. It took up my entire phone screen. And my phone has a big screen. Usually it takes up like 25%, like 2-0 or something like that. But this game on its own had so many little plot lines. Like Evgeniev, I told you. Rajkovic, Artem, how does it feel? Rajkovic back. He played really well against Bayern, played really well against Atletico. But we have real Rajkovic back. How does it feel?
I'm going to be honest, the both Lokomotiv red cards were questionable, I think.
The second one really wasn't. Guilherme? Nah.
Yeah, I think it was. First of all, Rajkovic, the one he got a second yellow for pulling a player back, but I didn't think it was like second yellow worthy. Like in other way, like if it was the first yellow, I would have given it. But because this is like this is the thing that's gonna send them off, I thought it was harsh. Guilherme, he came out dangerously, but he didn't touch the man, and it's not like his studs were up or anything. Like
No,
I just
it was because of handball.
he didn't hit, it didn't hit his hand.
Yes, it did.
I swear it didn't. I watched it this
Nah,
morning.
it was given for professional handball because he was outside the box and handled it, and it would have been his second yellow anyway. He got a direct red, but he had a yellow card already because he was arguing with the ref. So
Okay, if it was a handball, then okay, I get it then. But I didn't
yeah.
actually see the handball. I thought it was for him coming out dangerously.
And Guilherme is such a stupid player. Did you see, like, if you saw the highlights, you would have seen. He plays like he's just got triangle pushed down on his controller. He's just coming out all the time, completely out of position, at fault for at least two of the goals. He's just such an eccentric goal. He's a fine goalkeeper, but I mean, it's not like he just lets himself down way too often. But
Yeah,
before,
to be
yeah, go
honest,
on.
like I don't think that he should be in the Russia squad, if I'm
Yeah,
being honest.
it's really weird, man. It's really weird. So before we get to the Zenit and everything with there, let me just like I did this tweet for RFN, and let me give you all the little plot lines and stuff we had except for Zenit. Khimki shocked Rubin Kazan 2-0. Adolfo Gaich starts and gets an assist. CSKA win 2-0. Shkurin and Toshevsky, two players I'm sure you've forgotten about, actually got some game time. Roman Eremenko missed a penalty. Um, and of course, welcome Miranchuk. Scores again. Scores again, Artem. Take us through it. Take us through. Take us through the goal. You didn't see the goal. You didn't even see the game. Take us
I did
through it
see the
anyway.
goal. I watched it.
Okay, so
So
then you can take us through it.
I can. So Miranchuk comes on. Can't remember exactly what minute, but it was the 70th or something like that. And like he did in the first game, except this one was more important. The ball comes to him just on the edge of the area, four defenders around them. He puts it right into the bottom right corner. Handanovic has no chance. Great goal from Miranchuk. He scored two in what is it, 42 minutes now for
Yeah, something
Atalanta.
like that. Something like
He
that.
needs to start getting some extra time.
He needs to start every game. He
Like
needs to start every game. It's simple as that.
when I was I don't know if you watched the Noble Rustaman video on Miranchuk's transfer. You probably didn't. I don't think I had English translation, did it?
No.
Okay. Anyway, the whole thing was Noble was telling Aleksey that, okay, listen, for a while you're probably not going to get any game time. Like Gasparini's the kind of manager who's really gonna like he's really gonna make you have to prove that you're worthy of starting for his team. And it seems like that's exactly what's just happened. And Miranchuk is like so far it seems that he's taken it in stride. When he scored, like seeing players like Papu Gomez and Hattabor, like all those kind of players came around, gave him hugs. Like they even posted like pictures on Instagram saying like, "Oh, congratulations on your first goal in the league" and all that kind of stuff. I think that he's really starting to fit into that collective, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping that he's proved now to Gasparini that he is worthy of starting and not just coming on from the bench for 20 minutes every 2 months.
You know what I don't like? I don't like managers like that. I don't like.
Oh, no, I can get it. I can get it. There's this whole there's a thing in psychology where if you work really hard for something, it means much more to you once you get to that level. Like, and I feel like maybe that's Gasparini's kind of philosophy that, like these players really have to prove that they're worthy of the team, so that it'll mean to them that just that bit much more when they really start playing like all the time and stuff like that. So I can understand it from an entertainment point perspective. I wish Miranchuk played more, but I'm happy with the way it's gone, is what I'll say.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has to start starting now. I think he's proven
Yeah,
himself.
I agree with you. I
Um,
think that, yeah.
yeah, I mean, I just think he needs to starting more. And international break, we don't really want to talk about that, of course, because just remember the little video of Alexei and Anton. But the international break is a scam. Every player just keeps getting injured for every country, and then there's new players coming in, and then 17 others have COVID. But
Did
Artem,
you
let's yeah, go on.
just while we're on the international break? I saw a video this morning. I don't know if you saw it or not. I think Stefano posted it. It was like Anton and Aleksey play rock, paper, scissors to see who goes back to Atalanta.
Yeah, and Anton won.
Yeah.
But that's insane because there would actually be no way of telling.
No, there would. They used to look so similar to each other, but now you can tell. Like,
But if they really wanted to, they still could.
yeah, but like, I'm just. What I mean is, I don't know if you've noticed this, but like even some pictures recently, like okay, Alexei has longer hair, but say if they had the same haircut, I feel like Anton has a more round face or something.
You've been looking too much at their faces, I think.
They're just the goats,
They
both of
are the
them.
goats. Yeah, they are definitely the goats. Um, right, Artem. Let's get to the shits, should we? Artem Dzyuba, Russian national team captain, Zenit captain, one of the best players in the league. Zenit's most important player along with Bauyrzhan. He found himself in some trouble, man. He was whack 100. He was getting his business done. I'm not going to explain the entire video because I'm sure everyone listening to this podcast has already probably seen it and knows the story. If you haven't, I don't know what you're doing with your life. But there was basically an intimate video of Artem Dzyuba that got leaked. This got leaked on like the early hours of the Krasnodar game, and everything just went mad. People were calling for this man to get sacked from Zenit. They were calling for this man to get dropped out of the national team, which he did. They were calling for all types. There were some sane voices which said that, oh no, it's fine, it's not that deep, just give him a small fine, you know, and it'll be good enough. But Artem, don't take us through Artem Zuba's whole day yet. Take us through your initial reaction when you saw that video, when everything was going on. Because I think we're going to spend like 20 minutes on this topic because of how important and significant it's going to be. So yeah, go on.
Look, the question you gotta ask is who hasn't had a video of them masturbating circulate the internet? I bet not
Um,
one person will reply saying me. It's happened to us all.
I think you're telling us of some trauma that has been unknown to the public as of yet, Artem.
No, look, it hasn't happened to me and you, but who else has it not happened to, you know?
Well, I hope none of the others Zenit or RPM players, because then
No,
I'll
for
take
real
it.
though, like it's it,
Yeah.
it really is not that deep. The Russian media likes to okay, it's a big news story. Like obviously like when something like this happens, of course it's gonna circulate the news, but at the end of the day, it really is not that deep. Like the video that was shown everywhere, including RFN and stuff like that, was like the more like not so bad video slash picture of whatever happened. Like there was a
So
whole
you
host of
watched the
videos
whole
and
one?
pictures. What?
You watched the whole one?
No, I stumbled across some pictures.
I'm
Um,
sure. I'm sure you stumbled across them.
okay, well, if you want me to tell you how I found them, Kai Connell sent them to us in the chat. Maybe you were asleep at that point or something like that, but
Did he? Okay, I didn't see that though.
of
I
course,
actually didn't see
yeah.
that.
Oh, look at me, I'm Hanu. I don't like
No, no, no,
as
no,
if
no,
you don't look at every message that's sent in that chat.
no, 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 no. But yeah, go on. No, I
Either
mean,
way,
listen. First of all, Zuba deserves to be memed. Let's not get it wrong.
you
He
get
he
yeah. It
deserves
deserves to be.
he deserves to be memed for like the next 5 years, for the rest of his career. But then like people took it way too far. People were
You're
yeah.
no. What I was gonna say is you're absolutely 100% spot on. Like memed is as far as it should go.
Yeah.
What the fuck is the fine gonna do? What the fuck is dropping him from the national team gonna do? What the fuck is dropping him from Zenit or his contract or anything else is gonna do? Like it really is not that deep. Memed is as far as it should go.
Definitely, memed is as far as it should go. I think a fine would only it would like be just like a little slap on the wrist. And clubs do say that you should have some responsible behavior on social media. So you give him like a 10,000 euro fine, or like just take a week's wages off, something like that, right? And just put out a statement saying, "Oh, we've appropriately punished the player and gotten it done."
But
But
see, he
yeah,
could also argue that no publicity is bad publicity. So
not Donald Trump, is he?
no, he's not, and that's why it works.
I don't know. I don't think Medvedev and them would take him to court over that. But I mean, he's not gonna argue that. But so subsequently, I think a few hours later, he gets dropped from the national team. He is replaced by Fedor Smolov, who is dating an 18-year-old and broke quarantine rules in Spain to meet her when everything was quarantined. So the moral compass, or let's just say that the history, not the moral compass, but the history of Russia's top strikers is a bit dodgy. Then after that, Smolov got injured again, so Chalov replaced him, or like Bakayev replaced him, and then something happened to him as well, and now we've got Chalov. There have been at least 4 to 5 different rotations in the Russian national team without a game even being played. So that happened. Then, so Dzyuba gets dropped from the national team. Dzyuba does not get dropped from Zenit. He starts against Krasnodar, but Lovren takes the captaincy. Maga, the trumpet, Lovren takes the captaincy. Uh, and then Artem. 16 minutes into the game, penalty. I don't even remember. Oh yeah, Wendell. Wendell, who played like he was high and he was sleeping for the entire game for at least the first 45 minutes. He was absolutely useless, giving the ball away, being really sloppy. Gives away the most stupid handball penalty. Marcus Berg tucks it in, celebrating wildly. Krasnodar might finally beat Zenit. You know, then, this is the Hollywood script over here. Then, well, why did Zenit get a penalty? The one that
Um,
Dzyuba missed.
Jesus Christ, I don't know. I watched it this
Yeah,
morning as well.
yeah,
Um,
but
oh,
they
it
will
was a
get
handball as well. Handball as well. So
handball. Oh, it was
Lovren
Sky.
went. Yeah, Kyle. Yeah,
What a man.
yeah.
Sky again. Yeah. So Zenit get a penalty. Dzyuba to take. He misses. Oh, it's the worst
Possibly the
penalty
worst
I've ever
penalty
seen.
of all time.
Yeah, probably the worst penalty of all time. Now everybody's gone wild. Oh, Artem Dzyuba, he just needs to stay out of the limelight. His career's done. He needs 5 weeks off. Second half. Daler Kuziaev gets a goal. At this point, all my agendas are dead and gone. And it was a great finish, by the way, from Kuziaev. It was a really good finish. Daler Kuziaev gets a goal. Then, 15 minutes later, Artem Dzyuba scores. The most Artem Dzyuba goal of all time, and everybody goes mad. There's pandemonium everywhere. He's done it. He's emerged from a jack off scandal in the morning from being dropped from the national team. He's come back from the ashes like a phoenix. He's won Zenit the game against Krasnodar, who've bottled again. Everyone goes mad. Then, it's not over yet. Alexei Sutorman, who I jinxed again, by the way. My jinx work again. I memed saying, you know what, Alexei Sutorman, he needs a goal, he brings on Sutorman. Sutorman scores. Another great finish. He's sad. Everyone's confused. Why is he crying? Found out that his father unfortunately passed away the previous day. Our thoughts and prayers obviously go out to the Sutorman family. You know, we hope it's a very tough time for Zenit, for Sutorman, for him, his entire family. So we hope he gets his peace. I hope the goal helped him as well. But like just the entire script of this game was insane, Artem. What are you saying? Just like it was like a picture. It was like a movie.
Yeah, it was absolutely mental. And honestly, like when Dzyuba missed that penalty, I was like, shit, this is bad. But then his scoring that goal, the way he celebrated, it was just so good, and I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, so happy for me, happy for Sutorman as well. I mean, he really tough time for him. Him getting a goal will help his, but it was just like the most emotional. It wasn't an amazing game of football, but just the moments were. And this was simultaneously going on with the Dynamo Lokomotiv game, so there was like nuclear bombs going off everywhere. Like Zenit score a goal, and then 3 men get red carded, and Quintanilla scored. Like that was how mental these two games were because they were at the same time. And look at that, Adam, 22 shots as well. It's a sign.
It
22.
is a sign.
Dzyuba's number is 22, and it was just great. It was just great. Let's take a quick look at the table. Um, Murad Musaev actually came out after that he's willing to resign because he feels like he's burnt up an orphanage or killed someone. And I feel bad for him. I've said before that I'm not a great fan of him, but I think this season he's been really unlucky. Adam, what do you think of Musaev leaving in his comments? I felt really sad.
Yeah, it's a shame to see a young manager feel like that. Especially because he has been good in previous seasons and stuff like that. But maybe it is time for him to go.
You think
Like,
so?
maybe they do need someone to take it to the next level. Like, you see how much of a difference managers make to teams. Like, okay, Tedesco didn't get off to the greatest start at Spartak, but now he's flying. Dynamo, as soon as they got Schwartz, like they've been fantastic.
Yeah.
Like maybe it is a case of Krasnodar need to find someone else, and it's really a shame because like maybe a month ago or something we were talking about how Krasnodar should give Musaev more time, and I still hope that they do, but you can't help but question in the board, like Galitsky's point of view of whether he's the right man for the job now, given the results they've had recently, and given how well all the rivals are doing.
Yeah. Do you still think they're getting Europe, by the way?
One game against Zenit is not going to change my opinion on that.
Right. So you think they can make up that 5 point gap?
Absolutely, I don't think a 5 point gap, especially a 5 point gap on like Sochi and Rostov and Akhmat is as bad as it could be. Like if you look at Rubin, Kazan, Lokomotiv, they're also 2 points off. So it's gonna be definitely like looking at this table, it's gonna be such an interesting second half to the season.
Yeah.
But I still believe in them. Like I wouldn't have put a bet on it if I didn't.
Right. Adolfo Gaich is going to be a national champion soon.
That would be mental. Like the maddest thing, I was only thinking about this morning that even like at the start of the season, I don't think anybody would have predicted CSKA to
Yeah,
really
definitely not.
even challenge for the title. And then a couple of weeks ago, like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was like Zenit and Spartak were like tied, and like
Yeah.
everyone else was 4 or 5 points behind, and it was like, okay, this looks like it's gonna be a two-horse race, but CSKA, insane, mental.
Fair play as well. Yeah. Even we could see President Clinton getting European football again next season, which would be massive. Uh, and you know what? I think CSKA, I think they've been linked to. By the way, Krasnodar, just to end on that, I think they need to give Musaev at least until the end of the Champions League group stage. I think that's the very least they need to do.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
Like, don't get me wrong. I think that they should give him another couple of months to see if he can improve the team. Like, it often it happens in football. Like, it happens whenever you play Football Manager as well, where you go on just a
yeah,
really
yeah.
bad streak, and you're like, I know that I can turn this around. It's just like I need to get some momentum behind me. Who are their next games? They've got okay, Tambov was there.
Yeah, Tambov, Khimki, Rotor. Oh
Rotor.
wow, they should really win these. All three of them.
Like if they can get a couple of results under their belt, everything could change. Like
They could, yeah, and
if
they'll
you
have the
look at the
full
way
team back.
they're playing, like if you look at their players, like Berg has been great this season. Like
Yeah,
they've been unlucky with coronavirus and injuries and stuff like that, but I don't think Krasnodar are playing too badly. They just make some
they've
really
been
dire
really
mistakes at
unlucky.
times.
Yeah, I think they've really been unlucky as well. And I don't think it's the manager's fault. By the way, I know you're probably shaking looking at the screen. What are these numbers? This is not the podcast for these. What is the SH90? But I just want to make a point. I want to bat for Adolfo Gaich. I think Adolfo Gaich is getting better with every single game, right? Did you see that picture where he had that menacing look on his face?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that man means business. And he meant business, right? Because now I know this is not the podcast with this stuff, but just look at it, right? He got 65 minutes in the last game, got 4 shots, 3 key passes, and assist, and he had like these nice XG, XA stats. We don't believe in that stuff on this podcast, but when we really have to, we will. We'll make up things and
No,
we'll.
we won't.
You won't, but I just for this, just for Adolfo Gaich, okay, just for Adolfo Gaich.
Can I
And
just say, right, for me, like this is a complete like anybody who watches like basketball or any other sort of sport where the eye test is a thing, Gaich does not pass the eye test for me.
now, but see, did you watch the CSK Rostov game?
I watched the highlights, so I
See,
didn't
you
watch the
watch the
whole game.
highlights. Yeah, but if you watch the whole game, he passed the eye test for the first time in his CSK career. He passed the eye test for me. because he was involved. I think he's going to be like Marcus Berg. Marcus Berg was horrible in his first few games for Krasnodar. Okay, he's become really good. I think CSKA need to give him more starts and more time because he's getting involved with play now. He's doing some build up play like Dzyuba and them do. He's putting in the passes. He missed a good chance. He missed it, but at least he got a shot off. So I feel like he's getting integrated, and if they stick with him, I think they're going to find good results. And for the first time, I think he passed the eye test. But sticking with CSK before we get on rants about a couple of things, Ahmed Musa Artem is being seriously linked with the club because they're apparently unhappy with Gaich, which is why I went to bat for Gaich right now because I want him to stay. Um, what are your thoughts on this now that it's actually a thing? Like last week we were just discussing it for bands, but now there's like it could happen. Could happen.
It would be interesting. Last week I said I was against it. In my defense, I thought that Ahmed Musa was 32.
Yeah.
To be honest, like Musa has not been good since he left CSKA, so I wonder if he'd be able to get back to that kind of like level that he was at before he left.
Yeah.
It would be interesting for sure, but like it's a risky move from both the club and from Musa, I think. So I'd be excited to see how he does, but I also wouldn't be too upset if he doesn't move back. What about you?
I would like to see it. Why not? You know, they have I think one or two foreigner spots, and I think he would. I think he'd be fine. I think they already have too many midfielders, so they could like let go of Bistrovic or someone like that. But for like 6 months, 6 month contract or a year long contract, I don't mind it. You know, so why not?
He's a free agent. Yeah, maybe it could be a shout just giving him a 6 month contract and see where it goes.
Yeah, take him on loan from his agent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big shout out Alan Zagoev as well, who started to look like an actual footballer again. So big shout out to him. I
Yeah.
know yeah,
This happens every year.
it doesn't though.
It does happen every year.
It
Every
doesn't.
year Dzagoev has a couple of games, maybe 3 or 4 games where he looks like this is finally when Zagoev's gonna do bits, and then
Do you know how
unfortunately
bad
he picks up
Zagoev's last three
injuries.
seasons have been though? Look at that. Look at that. He
Hang
got
on.
he got one assist in 2 seasons. That's mental,
Yeah,
I
but
think.
he's been massively injured. And the thing is, if you actually watch when Zagoyev plays, you can see the quality he has.
Yeah.
And it is such a shame that every single time that he looks to be picking up any sort of form, he gets injured. Like I think he may be the most injury-prone player in Russian football history,
It's
genuinely.
not, yeah,
So
that's not a, I don't think that's a controversial opinion. But these stats, I pointed them out to you as well. He had 8 goals and 8 assists as an 18-year-old in 20 appearances. That's insane. 12 assists and 5 goals in 2010-11. Since then, he's really fallen off. Not really ever reached those heights. But
well,
by the way,
it is all because of those injuries. Like even if you look at his look at the stats by club, the fact that he scored 77 goals and 88 assists, like
that's a lot.
it's still like it's so much, and considering so many of those games would have been counted when he comes on for like a couple of minutes after an injury or comes on and gets injured. Like this man could have been one of the best players in Russian football history if it wasn't for his injuries. Like it's so upsetting to see.
It
Like
really is.
man,
Yeah, it really is.
I hope in some other dimension he's the best player in the world.
Yeah, definitely. Artem, did you know Lokomotiv paid 9 million for Fedor Smolov?
I didn't. I thought they paid 5.
That's a lot, isn't it? 9.
It is a lot. It's even more considering what's happened since then.
Yeah. I'll never forgive Smolov for coming to Spain, scoring against Real Madrid and dipping. I'll never forgive him for that.
Well, look,
But
you need to look closer to home, given how badly Real played at the weekend.
don't remind me, man. I was having such a good time, and now you've ruined it.
One own goal and 3 penalties given away by the back
I
four.
see. That's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing, right? I watched the, I watched like until halftime because the day was phenomenal, right? I didn't want to ruin it. So it became 2-1, the worst own goal you'll ever see for Valencia, and I just went to sleep because I'm like, I'm not gonna let these guys ruin my day again. So I instead let them ruin my next morning after I woke up. It was 4-1. And I still haven't gotten over the fact that we lost 4-1 to the worst Valencia side ever. They didn't spend a single penny in the transfer window. They let go of all of their good players. Their owner is like he's from Singapore. He's the Singaporean Ihab Alam. No one likes him. They won 4-1. We gave them three penalties. The guy scored a hat trick of penalties, and there was no goal. Like, how is this the biggest club in the world?
Well, I
Like,
think that's why it's not the biggest club in the world.
it should be though, and it's not playing like it. I mean, it's just
Do you think Real is the biggest club in the world?
Yes,
Really?
yes. Who is? I'll give you a list. I think Real and Barcelona are. If someone says
Re-
they're tied, if someone says they're tied, I'm not going to go against it. And I think Manchester United is still there in the top
Exactly.
three or
That's kind
top
of what
four.
I was looking at because I think that like if you looked at which team has the most fans all over the world, I think that in the 2000s it wasn't even close. I think it would have been United.
Yeah,
Um, well, we all know how glory hunting happens and all that kind of stuff. So I think
yeah,
maybe a lot of fans have migrated. I think that Real probably don't have as many fans as they did in the Ronaldo era
yeah.
now. Um, I think Barcelona's probably the biggest.
Barcelona is going to fall off after Messi leaves in every
Yeah,
possible
but
way.
Messi hasn't left yet,
I know he
which
never
I think.
leaves, man.
But I think that that's why it's the biggest club in the world right now. You know, I don't think it's Real.
Uh, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I mean, Barcelona have been worse than Real for 5 years now. No, 3 to 4 years at least.
Mm.
Which actually it's a controversial opinion, but last season we were better. Then we won three Champions Leagues in a row, and I still don't know how we managed to do that because we can't win a single game in the Champions League now. But I don't know. Let us know who you think the biggest club in the world is in the comments. And
Do you think that clubs like PSG and Bayern Munich are even the in the conversation there? Because I don't like people might mention them, and I just don't think that they're anywhere close to the three
I
clubs we
think
mentioned already.
I think the top three are set in stone. I think they are far away
As in
from
Real,
the.
Barcelona, and
Yeah,
United.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So like the top three are
I think that
close together.
there could be a shout in the next few years for Liverpool, depending on how they continue to do.
Man, I'm gonna tell you, I've never I've been following football since like 2010, 11. I did not see a single Liverpool fan for 7 to 8 years. And as soon as they got good, like people have been knowing for 5 years, just became Liverpool fans, and every person on Twitter is a Liverpool fan.
But that's what
But
I mean. That's why it's so hard to quantify which team is the best in the world at any point in time because like the reason I still think United are up there is because they had such a sheer dominance for
yeah,
eras.
and I don't think Liverpool will have that. I don't think any team will have that for the time being.
I hope not. It makes football more
Yeah.
interesting if they don't. But
No,
yeah,
I think Bayern could dominate Europe. I think Bayern have the capacity to win three Champions Leagues in a row. So I think they
mm.
could easily. I think Bayern would be in the top five right now. Uh,
What about Okay, let's bring this back to Russian football because I know that a lot of the listeners are probably like, "What are you even?" Look, this is the whatever this is podcast.
yeah, it's
We
whatever
talk
this
about
is.
whatever this is.
Yeah, whatever this is.
Um,
You gonna ask
who do you
biggest Russian
think?
club?
Who? Yeah, well, yeah. There's only two clubs in the conversation there, really. So, like,
Oh, there's three.
do you think? No, there's not. There's two. There's CSKA. Or sorry, not CSKA. Spartak and Zenit.
Yeah, there's
They're the two
CSK.
clubs.
CSK are in there.
No, CSKA aren't in there.
CSK was the first Russian club I ever knew about. You have to realize how
Great.
good they were at one point in time,
Congratulations.
though. No, 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 no. But see. Here's the thing. If you're looking at biggest, right? Like the Spartak
Yeah.
are there. I think right now the two biggest Russian clubs, as of this moment in time, are Zenit and Spartak
Yeah.
internationally, right? But I think if you, as a whole, I think CSK are more renowned internationally, known by more people, and Okay, I don't know. I think this is a tough one,
No,
but I
but
think
the thing
CSK
is,
are
hang
there.
on, hang on, hang on, hang on. If we're talking about known by the most people, then like we have to use that same criteria for Real, Barcelona, and United. You know what I mean? Like I'm talking about like support.
The
I don't think
support's a
so.
vague term.
I
What do you
don't.
think? What is support?
Man,
Okay,
this
who do
is
you
gonna
think is
get
number
so
one?
deep.
Yeah, no, no. Who do
What?
you think is number one? I don't care if it goes deep.
I think
Pause. That sounded weird.
I'm not gonna lie. I'd say Spartak.
I think
Even myself as a
Spartak
Zenit
is.
fan, I think that Spartak have more of a following in Russia.
No, we're
Um,
not talking about Russia.
but okay. But the thing is, you can't discount the fact that Russian people like they have a massive population. Russia has a massive population. So like how many fans do you think outside of Russia is there for the Russian Premier League? Like actually people
No,
who watch
exactly.
a
No, that's
game
exactly what I'm
at
telling you. I'm
least
not.
once a month.
No, no, no. So here's the thing. I'm asking you to discount Russia. I'm just asking you what Russian club you think has the biggest international profile. Whether it's people that know of the club because of their socials, or people that go to the stadium once in a while when they're in Russia, or people that just follow the club vaguely, or people that have a jersey of the club. And I think that's why CSK is in the conversation.
No, I don't think so. I think Zenit is that one. I don't think there's any doubt
Yeah,
about
that's
that
fair.
internationally. Because I'll tell you why. Because back in the day when people used to play FIFA with Russian league players, they'd always have Hulk in their squad. Like
Mhm.
people knew Hulk, people knew Witzel, like those kind of players. They even Arshavin at some point. Okay, that was before. Like people never had Arshavin on Ultimate Team. Let's be honest, because he
Yeah,
wasn't great at that point. But I think that people knew all those players, whereas with Spartak and CSK and it doesn't have
CSK,
that same.
that's why I think, right. I mean, look, I think Zenit are number one. I agree with you there. But why I'm batting for CSK? Because CSK had Sedu Doumbia, they had
Musa.
Musa, they had Wagner Love, who is
Yeah,
known around the world. They had Leonid Slutsky.
yeah,
They had Wernbloom. Golovin is big. They had they had players, man. Akinfeev, people know Akinfeev because of how long he's been the Berezutski brother. I think CSK
yeah.
up
But see, I
for a
think the
long while. I
difference
think they were
is,
number one.
okay, with Doumbia and Musa, I get the fact that they would have attracted a lot of FIFA players to at least watch a couple of games or something. No doubt about it. But I think that like a lot of people would have supported Zenit purely because of Hulk. I think.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a real big factor. I don't think anybody would have supported CSK because of Musa or like because of Golovin or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
That's fair. Okay.
Hulk is a massive brand himself.
Yeah. Uh,
So that's just purely like we should do a poll on this. Who do you
we should
think?
really do. Yeah, I think we'll do an RFN poll or something in
Yeah,
there.
two
Okay.
polls. One, who's the biggest club in Russia just overall, and who's the most recognized club
Internationally. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
internationally? Yeah, that's what I think.
Okay. All right. So here's let's flip the question and then get off the topic and rant about Landscrona.
Okay.
Um, I think if you're looking at trending, I think Spartak is number one. I think Spartak is
I
gaining recognition the most rapidly, and I think if they get Champions League next season, it'll be huge for them. And I think in the next 5 to 6 years, if Krasnodar develop themselves well, I think they'll be in the conversation as well.
I think that the fact that Spartak aren't in Europe this season will
Yeah,
hinder the growth that they could potentially have. Obviously, their growth on social media has been very good this season.
yeah,
Um, shout out to Ivan Korish because just been
yeah.
the man. Like he's the
Shout
man
out
behind
Ivan,
all
shout
their.
out Andrew McIver, shout
Yeah,
out them
exactly.
guys.
Shout out to both of them. Shout out to all the Spartak guys on social media because they have been doing a fantastic job of getting football Twitter on their side. The only one thing I think is hindering them right now is that outside of football Twitter, they're probably not gaining anything.
I think
So
so.
like whereas Krasnodar, I feel like even a couple of people who watch their games again, like against Sevilla or Rennes or anything,
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, they haven't won yet, so they probably haven't been gaining many fans. But I think people are looking at that team and being like, Shit, that's where Remy Cabet is now. Oh, look
Mm.
at this bloke, Wanderson.
Look at the stadium.
Marcus
The
Berg,
stadium is
he
huge.
still
Yeah.
exists. Oh, this bloke's a fun of like he's making some great saves, and then obviously against Chelsea, not so great saves. But I think that like I think that Twitter obviously is a massive thing for growing support, and I think Spartak are doing that the best out of any club right now. But I think that football wise, Krasnodar are probably gaining the quickest in comparison to what their level is
Mm. I think
before this season.
I think if Spartak win the league and get Champions League next season, though, it's I think it's
That's
going to
massive. That's
that's
huge.
massive. That's going to be because they have a really likable squad. They have a lot of good young players. Domenico Tedesco is an international. People know Domenico Tedesco, and they have the stadium. They have all of that. So I think it'll be big for them.
Do you know,
Uh,
I can generally say that I think that the Russian league is actually like, oh, look at this. It's going to be such a surprising thing for me to say. I think that the Russian league is in really, really interesting. Like, I think that there's so
yeah,
many teams that you can look like. It's not like the Ukrainian league or like, I don't know, even Italian league or the French league or anything where like, there's like one or two teams that really stand out. Like, the
yeah.
Russian league is so diverse
See,
and
that's
it's so
exactly the
interesting
thing,
to
and
watch.
that's why I get so mad and so pissed off when we do terribly in Europe. Because
Yeah.
this league, I can see this league becoming a part of those top five league conversations in the medium term if it does well in Europe. I
What
can
are you
see that
considering the
happening.
medium term, 5 to 10 years? Like,
Yes, yeah.
I don't think that that's enough time for that. I really don't. I
I
think that
I'm telling you, I think the boom is going to be insane. I think the
the
boom. I
boom, the
think we're
boom might
starting
be
this. I
insane.
think starting to see the boom.
The boom might be insane, but the thing is, opinions change insanely slowly. The fact that like the traditional top five has been the traditional top five for like let's just say 25 years, and I think that's a conservative figure.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, maybe let's say.
I
I think
think opinions are not going to change that quickly. You can say, "Oh, they'll be in the conversation," but like you can make that conversation right now, but no one's going to listen. Like I
exactly.
don't think anything's really going to change in the next 5 years.
All right. Well, okay. So, Russia right now, by the mainstream, isn't considered to be even the part of. It's not considered to be like when you're looking at talent, looking at like a talent hub, or looking at like the biggest clubs. It's not even as big as Portugal or the Netherlands
Yeah,
or like Belgium and them. Whereas I think that the overall quality of clubs is higher in Russia.
I
Uh,
agree with you. I think that on average the clubs in Russia are better than the
yeah, and
Portuguese
I
league
think
or
I think the same goes. I think Russia is in the boat with Turkey and Greece, where there's a lot of quality and it's spread very evenly, but a
yeah.
few pieces are just missing. Cause, but I
Do
just
you
think what,
think do you think
yeah,
by any chance that there's some kind of I'm trying to word this correctly not to make it sound like basically what I'm saying is do you think that people don't recognize clubs in Russia, Greece, Turkey because they're so far away because the culture is so different?
100%, 100%, a Western bias definitely exists. I've been saying that. I think that a Western bias definitely exists, but that's the good thing with the internet is that things have become a lot closer. And I
Yeah,
think Russian football, from a media perspective, has grown a lot. You have those TV deals, you have YouTube now. Everything seems to be coming along. The clubs seem to be getting better. And Greece and Turkey haven't exactly reached that plane yet. They have their own issues, but the biggest clubs over there, I think it's going to require Shakhtar as well. Look at how big Shakhtar as a club is. People recognize Shakhtar as a big club. They're putting it in the conversation with Ajax and Benfica and them, right? I
yeah.
think I think once we see Zenit or CSKA or Lokomotiv or Spartak or Olympiacos or any of these clubs either win the Europa League or get in the Europa League final or like do like a massive fairy tale run in the Champions League, I think that's when people start to take these leagues a lot more seriously than they do now. And that's
But
why
do you know
European
how
performance is so
much
important.
like how difficult it is to do that? Like it even like when Zenit and CSK won the UEFA Cup, like it wasn't the same trophy as it is now. You didn't get a automatic place in the Champions League. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Whereas now it's kind of recognized that if a club isn't like, for example, let's say Arsenal or United or someone in England, like massive teams with massive budgets who are just better than any other team
Yeah,
in the Europa League, no doubt. They're seeing it as like a real like opportunity to get back into the Champions League if they've not done well
yeah.
in the league. And I think that's why it's going to be increasingly difficult to see Russian clubs do well in those tournaments. Um, and obviously the Champions League is just another
Champions
animal.
League is
Like that's
Champions League. I
just
mean, yeah, that's mad. I mean, I feel like 2 points. I think one is that Shakhtar got to the semi-finals this season and they just bottled it against Inter. So there is promise. There is some promise, and I think that Conference League might help. I really think. I think depending on how the Conference League shapes up, depending on how the teams in that are, depending on how it's marketed, I think if
yeah,
Russia gets far in that, I think that could help the image as well. But I
maybe.
mean, remains to be seen,
The
obviously.
Conference League, you mean the one under the
Yeah, yeah,
Europa
yeah,
League, right?
yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. When is that starting, by the way?
Next season. I mean, this season is the like from next season, 2021-22, there will be a Conference League.
21, 22.
So just after this season, basically, just after the season ends.
So there's no European places for it this season, but there will be next season, is what you're saying.
No, it'll be now. Like the fourth and the fifth place teams go to the Conference League qualification.
What?
Yeah.
What? What?
What?
That can't be right.
It is right.
How?
What do you mean how?
How? How is that?
We've discussed this. Look, starting in 2021, 2021 is next year.
Yeah, but I think that this is the like when look, it's starting at the 21-22 season.
That's next season, you idiot.
Oh fuck, it is. Jesus Christ, what is going on?
This man is. What are you doing?
Hang on. So you're saying that, see, like, let's say two teams go into the Champions League, right?
Yes.
One team goes into the Europa League.
Yes. The,
One.
yes, the Europa League qualifiers. Because look, the Europa League is getting truncated from 48 to 32 teams. And the Conference League is going to be 32 teams as well. So there's 16 more teams. So Europa League,
Okay.
yeah, see? Man, you've been asleep for the past
So
15 episodes of this podcast or something.
no. Hang on. No, because we discussed the.
What?
So if if someone wins the cup in Russia this season, they're not going to the Europa League.
No, they're going to the Europa League. They only look okay, right?
So
Murad?
there's two. No, so in that case, then there's two places for Champions League, two places for Europa League, and one for Conference, which makes sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me that there would be two for Champions League, one for Europa, and two for Conference.
That's exactly what it is.
Two for
And then
Conference
look,
and one for Europa League.
yes,
How?
look, okay. Nine in the second this by the way, there's no one gets a direct place in the group stage, okay? So there's in the
Yeah.
second qualifying round, there's nine domestic league, fourth placed teams from association 7 to 15. We are seven right
Okay.
now. And then in third qualifying round, there's six domestic league third place teams from association 7 to 12. That's your two spots, right? Third and fourth place, right? Now you're gonna ask me what happens to the fifth place. But the fifth place is typically the cup, right? So if a top five team wins the cup, then the third place goes to the Europa League. It's just how it happens usually. It's just like fourth and fifth are now for this.
That's confusing as fuck.
You'll understand it better, but that's how
I'll
it goes.
understand. Do you know what? How about we hop on FM after this? We'll start saving the Russian league and we'll just.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need to do. That's the best way of understanding it. That's how it's gonna go basically. Because this was founded to give like the the B tier leagues their day out.
Mm.
So like there's not going to be that many
So, but hang on, we were talking about like the last couple of weeks. We've been talking about like, oh yeah, Krasnodar probably get Europa League, but they
no,
won't.
they're getting Conference League qualification.
That's insane.
It is insane.
That is honestly insane.
But see
I'm
that's
really looking forward to this Conference League. That's gonna be lit.
Yeah, see, it's gonna be lit, but the double-edged sword is that if you win, you get mad coefficient points. It's just stat padding them. But Russian clubs are not great at winning qualification ties, right? So Spartak are 3 points off. Wow, I didn't know that. But yeah, like it's gonna be
Jesus,
fun.
so there's so much to play for.
There is a lot to play for. Europa League, I think, will become harder. Conference League, Russia should be winning. Obviously, we'll know more once we find out like who's actually in it. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think we've spent at least 30 minutes on that. Right,
that is going to be interesting as fuck.
that's really going to be interesting. Let's
But
move
hang
on.
on, hang on, hang on, hang on. So in the Champions League, then will the third place team in the group still drop down to the Europa or not?
You're going to get confused even more now. So the top two go up obviously to the round 16, right?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen is that the third place, yeah, it will actually. Yeah, it will. It will drop down and it will play like one of the second placed teams from the Europa League. So there'll be like a another step in the qualification thing.
But that's really strange, see, because like,
That's interesting.
so are you saying that the first in the Europa League, let's say, gets through, and then the second place teams from those groups play against the third place teams in the Champions League?
Yes,
That's insane.
that's exactly what I mean. That
This is like this is crossover after crossover.
it becomes it's a lot more sensible once you actually look at how it's going to pan out. And the same will apply for the Conference League. So the third place Europa League teams will play the second place Conference League teams. So
You know, like you explaining this to me right now is like imagine a deaf person, right? Seeing
yeah,
someone just throwing up, you know, like when people throw up really fast gang signs.
yeah.
That's how I feel right now. I'm just not
Nah,
getting
it's
it.
you'll understand it. It's a lot easier. Just remember that the top two go to the Champions League. Second one goes to qualification. Third goes to Europa League. Fourth and fifth go to Conference League qualification.
Okay.
Right. Bauyrzhan Islamkhan failed a doping test. There's actually no news stories for this, but I can confirm that Kazakhstan national team captain, currently playing in the UAE, but once almost signed for Zenit, he failed a doping test, and I feel really bad at him. I really like
What the
that
what
guy.
what substance was he using or not using?
I don't know. He just failed a doping test after some Asian Champions League game.
See, you need more details than that really to make an opinion on this because there are some things that like there's some medicines and stuff that will come up as doping. Like
That's the thing. There's very little detail on this for some reason. I don't know if
I
the
that makes me
Arabs
think
are
that it's
holding
not
it
so
in.
serious.
Maybe it's not. Let's see if this works. Sometimes
Let's
it
see.
does work. Sometimes it doesn't. English.
Just press translate this page. Yeah.
Yes. Uh, DubaiSports.ae. This, by the way, has nothing to do with Russian football. He's Kazakh, but we like to waste time.
He looks so different.
Uh, they've sent in another sample, so we don't know yet. But I think by next week we will know more. And
So he's saying that it's an accident anyway.
I'm sure it is. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, look, we'll see what happens, but it could
Everything is
genuinely
up.
be one of those things where, like, I don't know, do you have those things in Singapore where, like, if you've got a cold, like a stuffy nose or something, you put this thing up your nose and sniff, and like automatically just clears.
Yes.
Like that shit sometimes comes up as like positive for cocaine and stuff like that. So, like, I'm not joking. Um, like, there's a lot of false positives in those doping tests, which look, I don't support any player who dopes or tries to get a competitive advantage over their opponents, but I do understand that sometimes it happens that positive tests aren't actually
Positive.
Positive. So
Yeah.
we'll wait for more news.
Nah, and just to me, Islamkhan doesn't seem like the guy that would dope. He
Well,
just
that's
doesn't.
exactly why he's the perfect person to dope.
I feel bad for him. He might have been set up. Anyway, we'll tell you more. We've been rambling about stuff for an hour, but now I want to get into a rant, Artem. Artem, we need Landscrona to fuck off, Artem, is what we need.
Yes,
That's
we
what
do.
we need, Artem. We need them to fuck off. Tell the people what happened in that game. Tell the people what happened in the game. Do you know what happened in the game? You know it, yeah?
I'm not. I'm not in a position where I know enough to be able to explain it to the audience.
Right, right. But shout out Tasha. She was in the game or something, and the ultras. Now, Landskrona are the Zenit ultras. I'm going to speak for 5 minutes now, right?
Go.
So, these guys, what they were doing is you can see it on the screen. For the entire duration of the game, these guys were throwing homophobic slurs at Artem Dzyuba. They were shouting all kinds of stuff at Artem Dzyuba. And Tasha was quite mad at it, rightfully so. I was quite mad at it when I heard of it. And after this was all before Artem Dzyuba scored. After Artem Dzyuba scored, he ran to the ultra sector, sort of provoked them, right? And now people are going to say you're a Real Madrid fan, so you don't really have the authority to speak on players, on fans booing their own players. But I'd like to make it clear that first of all, fuck those fans that boo their own players, even if they're Real Madrid fans. Second of all, you cannot compare Landskrona to average Real Madrid fans because I'll tell you this: Landskrona are a far right ultra group. Real Madrid once had a far right ultra group. They were called the Ultra Sirs, right? And Florentino Perez came in. He banned them. They're out. They're not. There was like this was a few years ago. I think 6 to 7 years ago. So we did something about these right wing racist pricks, and they're gone now, right? At Zenit, these guys are emboldened. Everyone knows this, by the way. Like Tasha says, some of these guys work at the club. These guys fly with the team to support the team and stuff like that. And ultra culture is, some people are really fascinated with ultra culture. They love it. Oh, look at these pyros are there. They have this real weird fetishization of ultra culture. Sometimes it's fine because a lot of ultra groups, they do good for the community as well, but a large majority of these ultra groups are racist fascist pricks. And why I'm going to talk about Landskrona in particular is because I feel like, and I've said this before, is that these guys need to be banned by the club. These guys need to be sectioned by the club. These guys, some of these fans need to be banned by Zenit, but the club is scared of them. The club says things like, and I've heard this, and I've heard from reputable sources them saying that no, we're scared of these ultras. These ultras are real, burly, and people now, of course, people have this reputation and people have these fake stereotypes of saying, oh, Russia is mad racist and oh, you're going to die and stuff like that at the stadium, which is completely untrue. The average Russian fan, the average Russian club is as good, the average Russian city, Russia as a country is as good, as perfect as any other European city where you go for a game. Landskrona in particular, though, is the biggest dark spot on Russian football. It is by far the biggest black spot on Zenit because Adam, you remember the Malcolm banner, right?
Yeah.
You remember the Malcolm banner. Now, what happened with the Malcolm banner? Nothing happened with the Malcolm banner. It made the news, everything happened, and they tried to push it under the rug, right? And the banner said something like, thanks for sticking to tradition. Now, people tried to twist that, sort of, some of us were involved in twisting that by saying, no, this is not, it's not what it looks like. But let's be honest, it was what it looked like, right? It was a tiny banner by Landskrona. They were talking
Well,
about.
I think that the problem was that people implied that the banner said no black players, which it
Yeah,
didn't.
it didn't say
In
that. It didn't say that. And people are also saying that there were racist chants and stuff, which there absolutely were not, which got
exactly.
proven. So people, and that's the thing. The only reason, the intention behind that banner was not right, which is something everyone knows. And if Landskrona is taken out of Zenit, we will never see any banners like that. We will not see anything like this. And the reason why they need to get out of that club, get out of Russian football, is because of the stuff that's currently still on their website. People at Zenit agree with the fact that these guys are hateful, racist pricks. And look at this, right? Look at this. Let me take you this. On Landscrona's website, landscrona.ru, you can go on there and find on their front page, if you go scroll to the bottom, you find a selection policy that these entitled fucks have dreamt up, which says that we do not want to allow Zenit to turn from a unique cinema to a Hollywood blockbuster. This is why it is important for us to convey to the management of the club our general vision of what kind of players we want to see in the team and what, in our opinion, should be Zenit's selection policy. For any club in the world, this is weird, but when you look at the stuff that's in there, in the year 2020, this has been on their website for at least 5 to 6 years now, right? Their website keeps getting updated. It's not like the website has not been touched in years. Not a single person from Zenit has even thought of telling them or saying, take that out of your website, otherwise we're ceasing contact with you, right? Look at the stuff that's on there, right? So they have 4 priority areas, these entitled twats. One is we want players from St. Petersburg. Second is we want players from northwest Russia. The third is we want players from the rest of Russia, Slavic countries, Ukraine, all of that. The fourth is the rest of Europe. Then they have the audacity to tell us any other continents except Europe, in our opinion, should not be a priority for Zenit. Right? But a flight to Latin America makes sense only if we honestly and professionally tried whatever, right? Then they in a very, let's say, they try to take the higher road and they say that the answer is simple. There is no racism or nationalism imposed in our teeth. The club loses its regional identity. Then they say Zenit and black players. There's an entire paragraph on Zenit and black players, which says that we are not racist, and for us, the absence of black players in Zenit is just an important tradition. What? How is that not racist? That emphasizes the club's identity and nothing more. Why do so many admire Athletic Bilbao's approach to their lone local students, while our club management and supporters are constantly being pressured and accused of racism? Because you're racist. You know, Athletic Bilbao's main player is Inaki Williams. Inaki Williams is a black, right? It's not, the Basque region is not a white region or anything like that. There are black Russian people. David Sangare, Onukha, Brian Adobo was born in St. Petersburg. They're still going to, like, what are they talking
Brian
about?
Adobo was part of Zenit's youth team as well.
He was part of Zenit's youth team as well, right? Now Zenit black players are being imposed almost by force, and this causes a backlash. We, the northernmost club of the big European cities, have never been mentally connected with Africa or South America or Australia or Oceania. Let us be who we are. And then they try to justify it by saying that there's powerful football in the fields and it's cold weather. There, what? Then this is, even if you have some sort of justification for those 3 screenshots, they have the audacity to tell us we are opposed to representative sexual minorities playing in Zenit, right? Any other continent except for Europe should not be a priority. We are afraid that the club may become Man City, Arsenal, and buy packs of players from different countries of the world that do not represent the city, right? And nothing has changed. And you still see tifos, people, Zenit put up a good tifo, and it is a good tifo, fair enough. But the people behind that tifo are these hateful pricks. And you got to take into account that Central Asia, the Caucasus, and Eastern Russia are not mentioned in any priority. They're like priority 3 or something. And even then, they are not, they're not mentioned by name. Artem, are you really going to tell me Central Asia isn't connected to Russia in terms of like historic and cultural connotations? Is it not? Caucasus aren't, Eastern Russia isn't. And we know that in Russia there is racism and there is discrimination against people from these regions. And then people have the audacity to tell us that Dzyuba has done nothing for this club. They released a statement after that saying that, oh, you know what, we only provoked Dzyuba because Dzyuba has provoked us in the past. If it was some other player, we would have reacted we would have not have reacted. That's untrue as well. Artem, are you trying to tell me that Dzyuba didn't win Zenit Dzyuba didn't have a massive hand in the league titles?
Hanu, can I just stop you there for a second?
Yeah, go on.
When you say Artem, are you trying to tell me? No, I'm not trying to tell you because I'm not on these guys' side.
Exactly.
So I want to emphasize
not
that.
at all. 100%. He's not on my side. He's completely on. I mean, he's not against me. He's 100% on my side. But you can't deny the fact that Dzyuba was one of the major reasons Russia got to the quarterfinal of the World Cup. Dzyuba was one of the main reasons that Zenit won 2 titles in a row. You can say that Dzyuba provoked Mancini and them, but nobody can raise a single question on Artem Dzyuba's contribution to both Russia and Zenit. But
hang on, if anything, Dzyuba did a massive favor for Zenit by scoring against Mancini Zenit and getting Mancini
exactly,
sacked.
Dzyuba has done massive favors for the club. His record in Europe has been great. We said that here last week. That doesn't mean that he had a massive role in the past 2 league titles. I want to know where this entitlement comes from, man. Where do these guys get this entitlement? Sardar Azmoun is Iranian. He's not mentioned in any of this, right? Malcolm is Brazilian. Hulk, who's probably one of the best players in the club's history, Brazilian. Artem, who entitles these guys, man? Why do they feel so entitled? And what do
I
you
on,
think?
I honestly I don't know. Like they just I'm really not a fan of Landscrona. I think that like they do much more bad for the club than they do good, and things like this are just really disgusting to see. Like if they just had a thing in their what I can only say this is a manifesto. If they had a thing in this manifesto saying like we want like a certain amount of players from St. Petersburg or Northwest Russia
That's fine.
in each year, that's completely fine and not unreasonable. When you start to discriminate against the other players, the other whatever, like let's say there's 18 players in the squad, and you're saying we want 5 of those players to be from St. Petersburg, reasonable, understandable.
Reasonable.
When you start saying like of the rest of the 13 players, we don't want any black players, we don't want any gay players, we don't want anything else, that's when it becomes a real problem.
And they've
And
said it. They've explicitly said it.
exactly, and that's the I think that's really what needs to be emphasized from all of this stuff on their website, because it is purely discrimination. It's really disgusting to see that you know people from St. Petersburg, what is probably the most progressive city in all of Russia, still think like this. And like if you walk through the streets of St. Petersburg, Nevsky Prospect, like all that kind of stuff, like you'd see that St. Petersburg is a lovely, really open place for people.
Exactly. It's a
But
wonderful
there's
city. It's a beautiful city. I've been there. Some of the best people I've ever met abroad from there. Some people are really kind. People are really friendly over there. All of Russia, people are really kind, really friendly, right? But this is the biggest ultra group. This is the ultra group of what is, like we just discussed for 20 minutes, the biggest club in the country, right? This is not hard to find. You're trying to tell me Zenit can't, and Zenit deserves some blame for this as well. For a European club that's as big as they are, for a Champions League club, for a club that is owned by one of the largest corporations in the world, their anti-racism policy is disgusting. There is no anti-racism policy at Zenit, right? We've seen we've seen that it did take Zenit so long to sign an African player or to sign a player who's and it's just even when the Zenit women's team signed a player from Cameroon, people were angry at that. These Landscrona merchants were angry at that as well. Oh, we signed the broken policy. They were angry at women's football. Like, I wonder why
I
can't
mean, to,
Zenit?
to to be fair, with that one, at least they're consistent. At least they just didn't care about. At least they cared about women's football. But
I
I
mean,
think that's probably the only silver lining of all of that.
like
they are real pricks, like for real.
honestly, Why can't Zenit at the very least get this taken off their website? That's the very least you could do.
Because I think that when we like you mentioned, like Tasha mentioned, it's people who work for the club that hold these opinions as well. It's not
That's
everyone at the
disgusting.
club, but it is some people at the club who hold these opinions, and you know, I think that's
That's
probably the
absolutely
reason.
disgusting. I mean, it means that there's vested interest there. It means that Zenit and Landskrona are in tandem, and a lot of the time, fan groups and ultra groups they are in tandem with the club. But when you're being flagrant and racist and fascist like this openly, right? This is on your website, time and time again. You show it in the stadium. You do that with your best players, right? Like, can you blame a lot of people if they're looking at this and getting concerned with Zenit or with Russian football? And this is the biggest ultra group. They shouldn't be. But when this is
No,
out
look,
there in the open,
I think it needs to be said that okay, this is the biggest ultras group in the country, it is still the minority of people, and it just
Yeah,
what needs to happen is those people or those opinions at least need to be stamped out of football. Um,
100%.
like the whole like if you look at Russian football as a whole, like if you look at even the interview you did with Gail, like he said
Yeah,
that he hadn't experienced racism in Russia, and a lot of people would say that they haven't either.
yeah, absolutely.
But it's stamping out those opinions from like those people who are stuck in their own echo chambers, who are just constantly hearing what they want to hear
Yeah,
and thinking that their opinions are right. And it is
absolutely.
really just it is really just upsetting and
It's
annoying that
holding Russian football back because
it
I can
is it
tell you
is
with 100% that Russian football is not. It's not a hateful place. Russia as a country is a very loving and accepting place, right? And if you that's the thing. This is the black spot on Zenit. It's the black spot on Russian football. You stamp these ultras out. You give some of them stadium bans. You first of all take this out of the website. Like, what do Zenit have to fear? Why are Zenit are owned by the biggest corporation in the world? You're trying to tell me they can't get rid of some ultras? For one game, you ban the ultra segment, do something like that, and sell it out to a family segment. It's not going to compromise the atmosphere because kids make a lot of noise. We've seen them in that Partizan game a few years ago. They brought in like 14,000 kids. The atmosphere was insane. Like, what are they scared of? Is the thing. What will it take for all of this to change? Like, because it's as a PR move, it's bad. If you don't want to be attached to negative PR and fake news, take this out. This is anyone if anyone's looking for a fake story to build on, first thing they're going to look at Zenit Ultras, Google them up on the website. This is there. Take it out. Do something about it. It's not that hard. At least get this taken off the website, man. But I mean, that was that little rant. Not little to be fair. I took 15 minutes on that or something. But then you had that idiot, that hockey merchant who was writing about how Russian football is. That's the other extreme. Russia likes football, but we're terrible at it and whatnot. Like, I mean, can you even say?
yeah. I mean, who's this hockey merchant that was writing that?
Didn't see that?
No, I didn't see that. Who was it?
Nah, I mean, Kai put it there in the chat. I mean, okay, well, it was based. I'm not gonna name him because I don't want to give that idiot any clout. But it was this some hockey writer, hockey like some Russian bloke with like 32,000 followers and lots of Western followers. He
Mm.
wrote a bunch of nonsense about how he wanted to do a thread on the Dzyuba situation, but it was the most politically charged thread I've ever seen. He was
Oh,
like,
I did see that. I did
yeah,
see
you
that. I
saw
did
that,
see
didn't
that.
he? He was like, Zenit can buy any third-rate Brazilian they want, and Russian football is trash. Think of like Saudi Arabian hockey players. Think of like American cricket players. That's how bad we are. And there's a 0% chance that Zenit don't win the league. And that bloke is
Yeah,
like, what are you doing?
I thought that whole thread was just a bit so like really really just stupid, and the people that were, if you looked at the people who were responding to it, they were like, yeah, hell yeah, you're right, and I was like,
Exactly. That guy has
hmm.
30,000 followers or something, man. And that's the thing. That's why we do this podcast. That's why RFN and us. That's why we put so much work into this so that we can stamp that so that these guys aren't the authority anymore. So that people who actually know the sport, who know Russian football, uh, plug Russian football and get more people into Russian football, and not stupid idiots who just type whatever they want and get thousands of likes and retweets, isn't it? It's just lot of nonsense going on there, man. Lot of nonsense going on. So like I'll read one tweet of it for summary. I mean, I'll read a few tweets just to what you should know about Zenit's chances of finishing anywhere other than first place in the Russian Premier League are 0.00%, which is completely untrue. First of all, give or take, they can buy any third-rate Brazilian they want, and in Russia, this is enough to guarantee a title, right? The only reason Dzyuba is on the roster in Russia because each team must have certain number of Russian-born players. What you should know about Russian-born players is that they are absolutely shite. Think Saudis in ice hockey, thinks American in geography. It's comical. Despite its players' utter inability to run straight, jump high, or be able to literally hit the broadside of the barn door, Russia loves soccer, adores it, reveres it. The reasons for this are unknown. So Dzyuba, having been born a chonky boy and be able to stomp on smaller creatures such as Brazilians, while fighting for the ball in the penalty area and taking advantage of Russian referees, also being on the list of Gazprom assets, has become a valuable member of Zenit. What is this guy talking about?
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
how many offensive things were in those three tweets. But it's allowed, and this has 230 likes. This guy has 32.3 thousand followers.
look, the thing is, we could argue with him all we want, but he's not going to listen, is he? Like,
He's not going. That's the thing. I don't care if he doesn't listen, but his followers listen, and that's the worst part.
yeah, but Hanu, like, the quicker you realize that there's no point in arguing with idiots, the better. Like, really, trust me, your life will be much better when you realize
It'll
that.
definitely be a much better, but it's still enraging
But
that.
it's the same thing when you go on Twitter and you see like every single article about any Russian football story on BBC or Daily Mail or anywhere else. Like the comments are always the same, you know. Like it's always really closed-minded people who wouldn't give, you know, Russia a chance even if they were paid to do it. And look, there's no point in like conversing with those kind of people. Just like it's the same. Like they're the exact opposite extreme of Landscrona, right? And
Yeah,
both extremes are just awful. Like I don't want to talk to
yeah,
Landscrona. I also don't want to talk about the people. Talk to the people who are in the Daily Mail comment section making comments about Russia. Like
100%.
those two people, I have no interest in talking to them because they're both insanely misinformed, both of
Yeah,
them. So look, it's better just to
better just to let
it's
them
better
go,
just to
honestly.
ignore
Yeah,
ignore those people.
really is. I mean, it was just something on my chest because it is annoying because Russian football is a good place, man.
I
Right? We
know, I
know
know.
that,
Like
and
it's
it's
it's the
just
same thing. Like I've had this thing for years where like in the years leading up to the World Cup, like from 2014 to 2018, like
yeah,
you know how many people I argued with both in person and online about
yeah,
this is going to be a good World Cup and like you shouldn't worry about people getting battered by hooligans and all this stuff and like there's so many conversations. Like I brought over my two friends from Ireland over to the World Cup to Moscow to Nizhny Novgorod, and like both of them said that they never expected Russia to be the way that it was. And
yeah,
I've spoken to so many people who went to Russia, both from Ireland, from the UK, from any other country, who've all said the same thing that like what you hear on the news and what you hear from all these biased sources is completely different to what's real.
yeah,
So like there's really nothing we can do about it. Like we're not going to be able to change what the Daily Mail post or the BBC post. And you know that
yeah.
even if they posted a positive story about Russia, that the first
Yeah,
comments would be,
there's
"Oh,
always
you've
critics of
been
it.
hacked by Russian bots," or like,
Exactly.
"Oh,
And
you've been."
that's the worst thing. This bloke was some Russian hockey writer, ice
Mm.
hockey, right? And that's the worst thing. Is it?
I think he's just salty because
He is
hockey
definitely
isn't the biggest
salty.
sport in Russia.
Yeah, no, it's the worst thread I've ever read. But well, this is not
I'd say
how.
he's so salty about the fact that Ovechkin, one of Russia's best hockey players, wants to retire as a footballer and not a hockey player.
Yeah, and I said some wild shit about Ovechkin as well, which I'm not going to say here. The guy is a weirdo. We know that, but he's just a weirdo with 32,000 followers, and that's the sad part.
Exactly.
Just be a weirdo in peace. A lot of people do it. But you got anything else to discuss this week?
Not really. Like, I feel like we ended that podcast on such a fucking sad note. I don't think anybody's coming off this with a smile.
Nah, it's fine though. Sometimes you need to feed them. Sometimes you need to feed the streets. Are you gonna watch Moldova Russia though?
Tomorrow, what time?
It's probably like 5 or something your time. I don't know, 4 or 5 maybe.
Is your computer on Indian time or is it on
Yeah, it is. It's on Indian time.
okay, so probably 5 or 6. Yeah, I'll probably watch it. I'm going on the RFN podcast right after, so
Hey, there you go. That's a bit of a spoiler.
yeah, exactly. So
Catch Artem on the RFN podcast talking about XG.
exactly. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. It's a big podcast week for me. Honestly,
Yeah.
you know I love doing these things. Like I love chatting to you, David, all the boys like about Russian football.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like I did some Lazio podcast as well with two American guys, and that was really fun as well. It's good.
nice.
It's fun,
It
yeah.
is. It's cool. Like it's just one of those things where like even like I love one of the things I love most about the podcast is when people actually interact with it and like give us their opinions, whether it's agreeing with us or disagreeing with us.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like so many good accounts to follow on Russian football. Like there's so many good accounts in French. If you're from France,
Yeah,
there's good accounts in Spanish. There's a few good accounts in English. And these are the accounts that really should be getting all the limelight, you know.
for
Because
sure.
what I say is that the Russian league, it doesn't have as many creators, independent creators, right? And you look at the Dutch league or you look at the French league, and there's lots of like major blogs and major podcasts and stuff. And that also does a lot for the league's appearance, for the league's reputation. So, I mean, yeah, follow these guys obviously, and
Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of the things I like about the Russian football community is that everyone kind of already follows each other. Everybody knows who
yeah,
everyone
exactly.
is. You've seen someone's tweets, even if you haven't talked to them in person or anything. So I think it's a
Yeah,
it's a really cool community. Like, so
yeah, it
I'm
really
happy to
is.
be part of it. Um,
Definitely.
but yeah, for sure. Like you said, content creators more needs to happen. But I think that the fact that you can watch the Russian League on YouTube for $5 a month is
Yeah, that's
absolutely
massive.
fantastic. Like even one of the things I love, this is just a complete plug of that subscription because it's the best €5 I pay every month. Um, like this morning I woke up and I watched the highlights of all the games. It's a 40-minute video with
Yeah.
Aleksey Miranchuk commentating over it, and it's
Hmm.
just literally just like you're watching every highlight from the whole week. It's like match of the day essentially. Like
Yeah.
all we need is a little bit of a studio and getting like me, you, David, and a few other RFM boys on there, and then it becomes that like.
Yeah, I
So
mean, and our community is really approachable as well. Is like
yeah,
everybody is approachable, everybody's willing to, talk and stuff. So, I mean, it's great. I was one of the 3 years ago, I came back from Russia and I was like, I heard you or I heard someone on the RFN podcast and I was like, oh man, I wish to be there one day. That was me. Like, it was one of my dreams to get on the RFN podcast. It really was. And that's how nice the community is. That's how approachable the community is that anyone can come in, anyone can learn more about the game, and there's lots of
yeah,
opportunities to learn and have fun in the way as well.
for sure. Like even one of my first experiences with Russian football. Like I was on Twitter, obviously. Like I was following RFN, and I'd comment
Yeah,
on a few other things here and there, and like one of the days Toka just messaged me. He was like, "Oh, hey, like, you seem interested and you seem like to know your stuff. Do you want to write for us?" Like
yeah,
it's so nice the fact that everyone's just kind of like, yeah, like you seem to have a cool opinion. Why don't you like tell it to other
yeah,
people and we'll
definitely.
see what other people think. And it is
Yeah,
super cool.
it is cool,
This
and
is
that's
a
how
this is a super weird way to end the podcast, but
it
pretty
is. But it's
much what we're saying is that we
yeah,
we love you guys, like for real.
we
So
do. It's a nice and it'll put a smile on people's faces. That's for sure.
exactly, it's much
That's
nicer
what
than what we
that's
were
what
gonna
it is.
end on five
Yeah.
minutes ago.
Well, I mean, follow us, interact with us, watch the videos. We're gonna have two guests next week. Stay tuned for that.
That's gonna be
And
massive. I'm really
yeah,
looking forward to like one of the guests. Look, we won't spoil anything, but one of the guests has been on the podcast before. The other hasn't, but you've probably seen him on Twitter. So it's gonna be
Artem,
interesting to get them both
we
on.
we completely forgot about one topic.
I know what you're gonna say. Fuck that guy.
Really?
Yeah, he's not gonna join Russia.
Fu- why you do that to Max though?
No, because he just look. It doesn't. Okay, no, fuck that guy. Edit that part out.
Nah, it's fine. Go on. I'm not gonna edit that part.
No, he's. Look, I was excited when I first seen it, but it looks like I can't imagine he's gonna go to Russia. Like it seems that from his interview, it seems that actually let me go back to the fuck that guy statement. I mean fuck the people who got my hopes up about him. Because I was excited about him, and then I read the actual transcript of what he said, and it was that his father's from Moscow, his mother's from Kiev. He spends a
Yeah.
lot of time in Kiev, and lots of his mother's family live in Kiev, whereas his dad's family all live in America. So I cannot imagine, in any case, that he's going to be representing Russia over Ukraine. based on that.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Stani wasn't going to call up a foreign bloke from England anyway.
Well, he might have, but we'll
he
see.
might. But I mean, let's hope he does. We'll try to get him on the podcast one day.
I don't think he's going to come on after you said that. I'm not going to edit that part out.
He's going to come on. It's not like he's going to listen to 1 hour, 25 minutes of this episode.
He might.
Max, come on. Come on the podcast. We'll knock Artem out for you. But yeah, follow us. And it was a great episode. It was a different episode, but it was a great episode. We hope you like it as well. And we'll be back next week with 2 guests. Thanks for listening.